Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is a special honor to me to be here today in the very important discussion in Temesvár or Temesvár for us Hungarians. It is an honor as a Hungarian, as a citizen of Budapest, as a Central European, and as a mayor. Temesvár is a city with many faces and many cultures. Its history of living together. The history of living together, which is one of the hardest, but also one of the most wonderful abilities in today's world. In 1989, the revolution that brought down the Romanian dictatorship started here. Because of the architectures, Temesvár is often called Little Vienna, but perhaps you will forgive me if I draw a comparison with Budapest instead. Budapest also has much to say about living together. After all, it was created from the unification of three cities. Pope Francis said in Budapest that politics was born in cities from the real, everyday passion for rights, duties, and living together. And this is exactly what I'm talking about today, about cities and the real passion of living together. Today, there is no lack of passion in European politics, but there is more and more destructive passion, division, the decline of democracy and rule of law, which guarantee that today's generation can live together in peace, and rejection of the green transition and the value of sustainability, which would protect the right of future generations to live together on this planet. I come from Hungary, from a country that for a decade and a half has been known in Europe for authoritarian populism, for decline of democracy and rule of law, for deep social divisions, and for challenging our shared European values. But I'm also, as a mayor of Budapest, a progressive city leader who tries to stand up these trends, who is committed to the values of democracy and sustainability in the city government, and who faces every day the question how to resist authoritarian populism effectively. Progressive European politicians like me often make some mistakes when fighting authoritarianism. For example, when we talk about cities like islands of democracy. For me, the image of islands shows division and dominance. It recalls the old times when cities built walls to protect their values. But cities should not keep the values of democracy and sustainability only for themselves. They should create a local governance that shows the possibility of a new, more human, more inclusive model of democracy. Dear friends, I am deeply convinced that the European Union, the citizens of the European Union, will only feel at home again in Europe and in their own countries too, if decisions that affect their lives come closer to them, if they feel that they have more say in what happens to them, if they can hold politicians to account more easily, or if they themselves can decide more and more things directly. The EU is not only a union of nation-states, but also a complex alliance of regions and cities. I believe that strengthening the local and the regional perspective is the best answer to the European Union crisis. Local governance is both more democratic and more effective, and it makes possible to strengthen local identities that are inclusive rather than exclusive identities. Recent global crises, including COVID, climate change, and the war in Ukraine, have deepened inequalities and weaknesses within cities, but at the same time, they have shown the ability of cities to respond quickly and flexibly, often without the support of national government. Yet, today we see that the draft for the new EU budget ignores local perspectives. Instead of operational programs, It would provide funds to national governments through a single envelope. I led the city under incredible financial and political pressure for the national government. This pressure is made even greater by the EU's suspense funds, our only source to develop the city. This politically biased way of distributing funds is really real. It undermines the core values of cohesion policy and violates the principle of subsidiarity, partnership, and non-discrimination. This is why we must ensure that local aspects are strengthened, not weakened, in the next EU budget. We must stop the trend towards centralization and ensure that these tools cannot become political weapons. To achieve this, local authorities must be given greater decision-making power and financial independence. We expect the European Commission to fix the principle of multi-level governance and partnership in concrete legal binding rules and guarantees. We also need to expand direct funding programs for cities, and we need dedicated urban chapters that directly address the challenges of urban areas. The suspended funds could be redirected for existing EU programs directly available for cities, such as the European Urban Initiative. This would allow cities in affected countries, including Budapest, the apply of these funds. I'm convinced that we can only achieve these goals through joint action. Dear friends, the citizens of Temesvár, of different nationalities, once launched a revolution. I hope today's meeting in Temesvár will also launch a quiet revolution in the EU, the revolution of localization. It is possible, even certain, that EU needs less bureaucracy, but this cannot mean less democracy. Decentralization, the strengthening of local perspectives, is the best tool of reinforced democracy, because it brings politics back to human scale, and it allows people to feel at home again in Europe. Thank you for your attention.